Hello everyone and welcome back to another book review. Today I am going to be reviewing Lanny. This is a novel by Max Porter, who's also an author of Grief is the Thing with Feathers. I have read nothing by Max Porter before, so I actually picked this book up on a whim. I decided to take it home from the library and read it, and the moment I sat down with this, I was completely sucked in. I read it in one entire sitting. So we're going to talk about the plot of this book, what you can expect, some thoughts I had on this book, as well as a warning for people who maybe want to avoid this book because I think there are some topics in here that are a little darker. So Lanny, again, I picked this book up entirely on a whim, so I was going in completely blank. I have not read anything by Max Porter. I haven't read anything about this book, so I did not know what to expect, but really the cover is what intrigued me. There's this kind of man face with leaves in it, and I decided to see what it was all about. Lanny takes place in a sleepy English village, quiet, outside of London, away from the hustle and bustle of day-to-day life, and we get to know the players, and the plot unfolds over 3 sections. So the first section is just introducing the players, what they're like, and by players I mean characters in the story and their dynamics between them. We are introduced to the main titular character, Lanny, who is a young boy living in this village. He's kind of a different boy. You see, he has a deep connection to nature. He has a deep connection to the world around him. He seems very intuitive. He asks a lot of questions, and you get the sense that not everyone knows exactly what to make out of Lanny. You also have Lanny's mom, who used to be an actor, but she is out of work right now, and she's kind of maybe questioning some things about her marriage, but she deeply loves her son. Then we have Lanny's dad, who is a person who's kind of obsessed with work. He commutes into London once a week, and you get the idea that he's just that commuter, corporate, work sort of type of person. And you also see that he doesn't always have the best vision or view of his son. So for him, his son is a little embarrassing, and he would like his son to act a little bit more normally. We also run into Pete, who is an artist, quite a famous artist, we understand, living in the town, who is working in this town and working on some of his latest works and just doing the artist lifestyle that they do. And we have the tension between the mother and the father. They're newcomers to this town. So they're desperate to try to fit in. Well, not desperate, but they're trying to fit in and integrate with village life. The dad is still having a strong connection to London through work. The mother and father are having, you understand, a little bit of friction, particularly around their son Lanny, who is very different and kind of more deeper in tune with the world around them, and he starts taking art lessons from Pete. Now, there is another character who is this mythological, or maybe not mythological, but a fantastical creature who's associated with the village, who goes by the name Dead Papa Toothwort. Toothwort. He is a creature who is just listening. The story goes that he was someone who fell asleep and then was kind of taken over by nature way back in the day, and you get this idea that he's this supernatural entity that is made up of the village, but also watches over the village and hears and sees everything that goes on within this village. So he is kind of this outside character who we are always seeing him watching the village and seeing what's going on. In section 1, he's rather a benign character. He's more of an observer, a watcher, and that's his state. Now, things change in section 2, where Lanny goes missing. So a young boy has gone missing, and this is a big, obviously, news item in the town. A young boy has gone missing. They don't know where he is. They don't know what's happened to him. Quickly, accusations begin to fly. There's accusations that Lanny's mother hasn't been keeping a good eye on him. She lets him roam the village unobserved for a long period of time. We get the thought that maybe Pete had done something horrible to a child, that as a grown man maybe he shouldn't have been giving art lessons to Lanny, that may have been inappropriate and somehow, and kind of all these secrets and people's thoughts about the situation come to the surface. It's implied that Dead Papa Toothwort has had something to do with the disappearance. He kind of comes in and wants to stir things up, and we also get the sense that Lanny and Dead Papa Toothwort have a bit of a connection, maybe not a known connection. I don't think Lanny intentionally knows he's communicating with this individual, but there's definitely a connection there, and he knows exactly what he is doing. So after Lanny goes missing in the 3rd section, Dead Papa Toothwort is working with the key players, or kind of taunting the key players in an attempt to lead them to Lanny where he is, and also we see what Lanny has been up to in the meanwhile, and the story concludes in section 3. So, my thoughts on the story. I know that's quite a bit to fit into under 200 pages. I think it's, a little over 200 pages. So, the story does move very, very quickly, but I want to start my thoughts off with a warning. So, there is an animal death scene. I'm just going to say that. And I skimmed the section because I don't like graphic depictions of that. So if that's something that's disturbing to you, you can either skim the section because you can see it coming and just flip it. And personally, I didn't find it. You don't need to know the details from that to understand the story. But yeah, there is animal death. So if you don't like that, there's one particular section that you might want to skim, but you will see it coming. If I had known that was in that, I probably wouldn't have picked up the book, or I would have skimmed faster when I had seen it coming. So I'm giving you a warning so you know about that. Also, obviously, if you don't like to read about missing children because of either something in your personal life or you're just sensitive to that, don't read this book. There's a large section in section 2 talking about the grief and the horror and the panic and the building terror of losing your child. So if that's something you're sensitive to, again, this is probably not the right book for you. There's plenty of other books on the market for you to pick up and read without ruining your afternoon. So with that aside, and those are the people who maybe want to avoid this book or be cautious when picking it up, this book I feel like is hard to put into a category, but I do think it falls into fantasy. I'm not sure exactly how to apply the term magical realism, but that's another term that kept coming to mind. But it also felt like it kind of fit into a horror bucket. Not true horror, but there was darker elements to it. It was definitely darker fiction. So if you're someone who likes fiction on the darker side, you're definitely going to definitely kind of implies, I know for certain, you might enjoy Lanny because it definitely leans on the darker side. I personally do not enjoy fiction that leans on the darker side, but I felt like the way the story was told was absolutely fascinating, and so it just sucked me in. So even though it had this darker side, there was still some fantastical elements that kept me entertained throughout the book. Another thought that kept coming up again and again while I read this book is really who's the real monster. We get that dead Papa Toothwort is a trickster sort of being, supernatural. He's definitely meddling and he's definitely causing problems. And making a child disappear is a problem. It's a real problem. But who is the real monster in the sense that after he causes this child to disappear, people say and do horrible things. It kind of exposes a lot of people's inner thoughts about it, and people quickly become very judgmental. We see an individual, Pete, the artist's life overturned or uprooted just because of accusations leveled against him, even when we see that he has an airtight alibi the entire time. He could have had nothing to do with the child Lanny's disappearance. He was actually entirely in, I think it was London at the time, and they have CCTV footage to prove it. People have a lot of nasty accusations, and we see throughout the book this takes a real toll on his life and what he's going to do in the future. We see the marriage between Lanny's mother and father kind of dissolve as the parents have to face the fact of a lost child and the different ways that they confront that fact, that very real fact in their life. And also people in the village say very horrible and cruel things or treat this as kind of a spectacle. One woman talks about how entertaining and exciting it is to have some true crime right in the neighborhood, which I feel like there could be some parallels to people who get way too into true crime and treat it as entertainment instead of a tragedy in real life, not just in this. But you see people saying horrible things, so it's almost like dead Papa Toothwort, well, maybe has some problematic ideas of how to have a good time, and also I would argue maybe making a child disappear isn't great. The things that he exposes from this action maybe say that maybe there's monsters besides dead Papa Toothwort, and not monsters in the sense that anyone else, because he was responsible for it. No one else made Lanny disappear, but people are saying rather horrible things and kind of have that nastiness in their heart we kind of see exposed from this episode. If you like fiction with a darker twist, I think this is a book you're going to like. I personally cannot say I liked this book. I think like is the wrong word, but I was fascinated by this book. As I said, I sat down with this book intending to read a little bit of it, and I read the entire 200 pages in one sitting. So it drew me in very quickly, and I think that's the sign of a good writer. Like might again not be the correct word, but it was enjoyable. Enjoyable is also the wrong word. It was fascinating. I think that's, again, the best word I can use to describe this book. It was fascinating, it was interesting, and it was thought-provoking. And so I think if you're okay with the darker elements and none of the things I've talked about are so upsetting to you that you couldn't read this book, then maybe Lanny by Max Porter would be an enjoyable read for you, or at least, in my words, a fascinating read for you. So give it a read. And if you have read this book, please let me know what you thought about it in the comment section down below. Or if you have anything that you would like to recommend, put that in the comments below. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.